Hello there. If you happen to stumble upon this moment today, please don't scroll away just yet, because maybe this isn't just another video. Maybe it's a quiet reminder from your soul, a whisper that says it's time to receive something sacred, something you once gave everything for in silence. Those sleepless nights, the breakdowns no one ever saw, an entire youth spent searching, with no guide but yourself. On August 24th, a cosmic gate will open, but not for everyone. Only for those souls who kept the fire alive, even when they had to walk through the darkness, alone. And if you're an Aries, this journey was written just for you. So right now, let's step together into the very first chapter of this calling, into the place where your fire has been quietly forging something more precious than gold. There are nights when all the noise of the world finally fades, when even the streetlights seem tired and give up early, and yet you're still there, awake. Not because you can't sleep, but because something deep inside you has never allowed you to give up. Maybe no one truly knows how strong you've had to be, and even fewer understand that strength itself has often made you feel alone. Aries, you're always the first to step into the fire. You never needed someone to clear the way. You never waited to be called. All it ever took was one ache in your chest, and you knew it was time to rise. But what if every scar you carry, every time you fell but still stood back up, was never meaningless? What if it was all part of a sacred initiation written just for you by the universe itself? I want you to pause for a moment, not to look back, but to look deeper. Think of the days when you were left behind, the times you showed up for others, only to find yourself alone when you needed someone most. Those moments when you stood at the edge of despair and chose to take one more step, even when you had nothing left. You wonder, was it all for nothing? No, it wasn't. None of it was lost, not in the books of this world, but in God's library, where your soul is read like a sacred text. Some people spend their whole lives searching for meaning in their pain, but Aries, that meaning has always been right there with you in your quiet refusal to quit. You never needed someone to explain your suffering, because deep down, you already knew every wound was forging you into gold. Sacred gold, not the kind that tarnishes or fades, but the kind few are ever strong enough to carry within their hearts. Once, I heard a monk say, the strong rarely choose the easy path, they choose the one that needs them most. And I thought, he must have been talking about you, Aries. Not everyone who is strong is blessed, but those who remain strong to the end are often the only ones capable of holding the blessings that fragile souls were never meant to bear. Have you ever felt like you're the only one still awake, while the whole world has quietly given up? If you've ever gone through seasons where no one believed in you, where no one stood by your side, then please share that moment, because maybe your story today will be the light someone else is searching for in their own night. And I want you to know this: God never left you behind. He simply stepped back to watch you grow. Because here's something I believe with all my heart: God doesn't choose the perfect. He chooses the broken and uses every shattered piece to reflect a light stronger than anything whole ever could. So if you're hearing this right now and your heart paused, even just for a beat, then maybe this isn't just a video. Maybe this is a calling, a sacred reminder that you were never truly alone. You were simply chosen to walk ahead, and the light, it only appears to those who never let their flame go out. So don't wonder why you've always felt different. That difference was the very thing that made you the one worthy of guarding the treasure of this time. You weren't born to repeat someone else's path. You were born to create one no one's ever dared to walk. And that is why on August 24th, a cosmic gate will open, not for everyone, but for those who have kept their flame alive through the silence, through the nights, through the weight of being unseen. The sacred flame that burned quietly inside you when the world stopped believing. The flame the universe never stopped watching. And now, God is ready to hand you the key to a divine treasure, promised by the masters, foretold by the prophets, and now placed in your hands because you are the one who was chosen. So hold that flame close, Aries, because it's about to lead you to the very first sacred word, Shine, a word that will open the first door on this path, the door of unshakable faith in what you cannot yet see. Hello there. If you're hearing this right now, please don't scroll away, because maybe this isn't just a video. Maybe it's a message from your soul, a reminder that it's time to receive something sacred, Something you once traded everything for, the sleepless nights, the silent breakdowns, and the youth you walked through alone, with no guide but yourself. On August 24th, a cosmic gateway will open, but not for everyone, only for those whose flame still burns, even after walking through the dark alone. If you're an Aries, then this journey was written just for you. And now, let's step into the first chapter of this mission, where the fire inside you has quietly forged something far more precious than gold. When the earth goes still, when the familiar roads no longer lead to the dreams they once did, when the gaze of the world stops being your compass, that's when the universe begins to whisper. Not loudly, not with spectacle, just a strange wind brushing past as you sit alone in the quiet. A vague feeling, like something big is coming. And it is. For you, Aries, you've come farther than you know. No one warned you that the path you chose would be this rough. No one told you that the light you carry would set you apart. But you kept going, and every step you took, every silent battle you won became the first notes of a symphony that only you were meant to hear. On August 24th, something rare will happen. The Earth's magnetic field will shift. It sounds scientific, but in truth, it's the final confirmation of an ancient promise. Centuries ago, Nostradamus wrote of a day when those who stayed true to themselves would walk through the veil of the old world. Baba Vanga, the blind seer who saw beyond time, spoke of a reversal, not just in the earth, but in the hearts of mankind. And now, modern science is simply the arm of fate, bringing us the timestamp for a much bigger revelation. You Aries are the one chosen to step through that sacred gate, not because you're better, not because you're perfect, but because you never gave up on your inner light. Even when the darkness kept knocking, think back. How many times did you fall and rise again on your own? How many times did you want to scream, that you were tired, that you were hurting, that you just wanted anyone to understand? But instead, you smiled and kept going. No one taught you how to endure. No one showed you how to make it through. And yet you did, silently, relentlessly, in a way that would make even angels bow their heads. Have you ever wondered what's really kept you standing all this time? Not praise, not validation, but the flame inside you, that sacred fire no force could put out. That fire is from God, placed in your heart, long before you ever understood the meaning of pain. And I believe God didn't choose you because you're flawless. He chose you because you still believe. In a world that's slowly forgetting how to. And now, when the universe, science, and the soul all say the same thing, it's no longer coincidence. It's an invitation to enter a new reality. A realm where the souls who carry enough fire will be led to the treasure promised since the beginning of time. But that gateway, it doesn't open with power, it doesn't open with fame, and it certainly doesn't open through earthly battles. It opens only to those who carry 3 sacred codes, 3 keys, 3 vibrations, 3 doors, reserved for those quiet enough to feel them, honest enough to hold them, and bright enough not to lose themselves when the treasure is finally revealed. You see, the world keeps pushing us to go faster, do more, prove more, but sometimes the greatest truths only arrive when you sit still, take a deep breath, and listen to the wordless voice rising from the depths of your soul. That's when the gate opens, and you Aries are the one the masters saw long ago, not by title or status or success, but by the resilience of your spirit, by the fire, the light, and all the times you thought you were breaking, yet still chose to love this life one more time. So if any part of you is trembling right now, if your heart feels warmer as you hear these words, know this, you're ready. The universe doesn't hand out chances randomly. And if the gate is appearing before you now, it's because you've lived a life worthy of it. And if you can, tell me, what has kept you going until now? Because maybe your story will be the reason someone else doesn't give up on tomorrow. And now, to walk this path forward, you'll need the first of the 3 sacred codes, an ancient sound, a divine syllable, a key word preserved in Eastern monasteries for centuries. Its name is Shine, and it will unlock the first door, absolute trust in the unseen. That's where we're going. In the next part of this journey, in the journey of the strong, there will always come a moment when you have nothing left to hold on to. No more advice, no hand to reach for, no clear road ahead, just a heavy silence, vast, endless, and a question that whispers from deep inside your chest. What now? Aries, have you ever stood in that silence, on the edge between letting go or pushing through? There was something that kept you going. It wasn't logic, it wasn't pride, It was a voice, soft, gentle, but impossible to silence. That voice was Shine, a kind of faith that needs no proof, a trust that never asks why, just a knowing deep and silent that you must keep going. Shine is not naivety. It doesn't come from hearts untouched by pain. It is born from those who have been shattered, who have fallen into the dark and still chose to open their hearts to the light. Shine is an ancient word from the East, not just a sound, but a sacred vibration, a code of trust passed quietly from master to student in the silence of temples and sacred halls. For Aries, this word is not a test. It's a confirmation. It's the universe saying you've been living in its energy all along. The truly strong aren't those who control everything. They're the ones who dare to let go, who trust in what can't be seen and who walk forward, even when there's no map in hand. Do you remember the last time your world was chaos, but you stayed silent and held your head high? Do you remember the time you had nothing left but still believed what's meant to come will come? Maybe you never had a name for it, but that was Shine. A surrender not from weakness but from wisdom, from knowing life isn't something to fight. You let it happen. You let yourself drift with fate. No resistance, no force, no fear of losing. And strangely, it's in those very moments, when you think you've lost everything, that life begins to bless you. I believe God doesn't need you to understand everything. He just wants you to trust that everything He gives comes from love. Faith isn't learned from books. It's forged in the silence after loss, in the way you look at yourself in the mirror, on a day no one called, no one asked, no one cared. That's why Shine feels like a bell ringing in your soul, awakening the light you forgot you had. Faith is the first step in healing. No one rebuilds their life through doubt. Doubt only takes you in circles, trapped in the dark. Only when you believe, even just a little, does the door begin to open. Aries, maybe it's time to stop asking why me and begin whispering to your heart. Maybe I'm ready. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you've lost, but I believe if you're still here, still listening, then your fire has never gone out. Have you ever believed in something, even when the whole world told you not to? If you have, share it. Don't hold it back, because sometimes the smallest spark of faith in you could become someone else's miracle. You never know who's waiting for it, but light never gets lost. It finds its way to the one who needs it most, just like Shine has found you today. And when your heart fully believes, when you surrender to that light, like a child standing in the first summer rain, opportunities will begin to pour in, gently, effortlessly, but as deep and powerful as a sacred blessing, a blessing reserved only for souls who never gave up. And then, in the middle of that light, something new will appear, a second word, soft as a breath, yet holding the magnetic pull of cosmic fortune, a sacred code of divine luck, a gift only for those who dare to believe. I'll see you in the next chapter, where the rain of abundance begins to fall under the name Kun. There are days when you've given it everything, worked without pause, held onto your integrity in a world that rewards shortcuts, poured your heart into things no one even noticed, and yet the results never came, or came too late, or came in a form you never expected. Have you ever felt that way, Aries? Have you ever whispered to yourself, I should have received more than this, not out of greed, but because you lived with too much honesty to end up with something so unfair? I understand that, and I believe God does too. In a world where rewards often fall into the hands of the loudest, souls like yours, resilient, humble, quiet, are written into a different list, a sacred one, the list of those who will be rewarded at the right time. The second divine word, Kun, appears like an autumn breeze, silent yet full of meaning. Kun doesn't come as a surprise. It arrives as confirmation, a message from the universe that you planted the right seeds, even if the harvest came late, even if there were moments you believed nothing would ever grow again. Kun is an ancient Japanese word. It means divine fortune, a kind of luck that isn't random, but measured, chosen, and granted by heaven. Not everyone receives Kun, comes only to souls forged in discipline, who have learned to be still in chaos and who understand heaven's blessings don't arrive early, but they always arrive right on time. Picture this, you are a tree growing through stone. No one believed you'd survive, even you doubted it at times, but you kept rooting, searching for water in dry soil, saving your strength through seasons with no sunlight. And then one day the skies opened. Not just a short-lived rain, but a golden downpour falling like a miracle, as if heaven had remembered every single effort you made. That is Kun. Kun is not money. Kun is not an easy opportunity. Kun is a divine unlocking. It's the moment when everything good you once did begins to return like a warm current sent from heaven. Some call it coincidence or luck, but I believe it's God answering you, softly, silently, right when you're about to give up hope. Kun doesn't ask you to prove anything anymore. It only asks that you believe you are worthy. Do you remember the last time you gave your all and still nothing happened? Maybe that wasn't failure. Maybe it was a promise, written in the stars for August 24th. The moment heaven returns to you, everything you've held on to, even when no one was watching. Kun is a rain of divine abundance, but not for waste. It arrives so you can finally carry out the greater work you've been dreaming about for so long, so you can stop worrying about survival and begin living your soul's real purpose. Remember this, true blessings were never meant to be kept. They're meant to be shared. Kun brings you a new energy, but with it comes great responsibility, because when you are given more, it means you've been chosen to light the path for those still searching in the dark. That's why Kun resonates with the solar plexus chakra, the center of personal power, of transformation, and of choosing your own fate. With Kun, you're no longer waiting for a door. You become the one who builds it, not just for yourself, but for every soul who's ever believed and been let down. If you've ever felt like you gave so much and received so little, maybe you were right, not because you were unlucky, but because luck was waiting for you to grow strong enough to hold it. And if today, as you hear these words, your heart falls silent, your breath deepens, then maybe you're beginning to hear the rain, not outside, but in your soul, the rain of grace, of recognition, of divine favor. If you carry a story no one ever saw, a dream you've buried deep inside, a path you've walked in silence, share it, because maybe your story is the seed for someone else's rain. And when Kun finally touches your hands, soaking the soil you've patiently nurtured, a strange wind will arrive, not a wind from the sky, but from the soul of the dragon, the guardian of light for the strongest spirits, coming to awaken the royal fire within you. We'll meet again in the next chapter, where the name Seriu, the blue dragon of the east, will rise and lift your destiny to new heights. There are moments in life when we don't need anything more, just a sign, a confirmation that our heart, even after the storm, is still pure enough to create something beautiful in this world. Aries, have you ever dreamed of changing the world with nothing but your heart? Not with power, not with noise, but through your presence, sincere, strong, and full of light. If you have, then today you're about to receive that confirmation, because the third sacred code, Seriu, is not just a sound. It's the soul of the azure dragon from the east, the guardian of what's most sacred, the one who holds the final key to the treasure of the universe, and only gives it to those whose hearts are strong enough to carry that light to others. Among all the ancient symbols, the dragon is not just a creature of the skies. It dives deep into the human soul, and Seriu, the dragon of spiritual light, doesn't come to burn. He comes to awaken the royal power within you, not a power built on fame or status, but the divine right to lead through love and protect through kindness. You know, Aries, true power isn't measured by possessions. It's not in your bank account. It's not in anything you can flaunt. Real power is when you use what you have to light the way for someone else. A person who has enough to eat isn't necessarily rich, but someone who helps others have enough. That's someone living in a blessing straight from heaven. Seriu comes not to help you gather more. He comes to see if you're willing to share, because what you share is what truly stays forever. I once heard someone say, wealth isn't measured by what you keep. It's measured by what you're brave enough to give away, even when you still lack. And that's what Seriu is searching for in you, Aries. Not a perfect soul, but a willing one. Have you ever thought, if only I had more, I'd help more people? If you have, then maybe the universe has already heard you. Seriu doesn't need you to do something grand. He just needs your heart to still be able to feel, to still yearn to live for others, to still carry a spark from the days when you thought you had nothing left to believe. And if you're hearing these words right now, then I believe you're ready to rise. Seriu is a dragon, but not one for you to tame or control. He is God's dragon, and you are the one chosen to fly with him. When you speak the name Seriu, you awaken the crown chakra, the divine link between you and the heavens, where God is no longer a distant concept, but a light flowing through your every action, every word, every choice. From this moment on, You are no longer the one waiting for miracles. You are the one who brings them. You are no longer a soul searching for your place. You are the one holding the door. True wealth is standing high, with your hand still reaching down to lift someone else with you. And today, if your heart feels warm like something inside is cracking open, then know this. Sariu has touched your soul, not to demand, but to empower, to guide, to offer you a sacred mission you've carried since another lifetime. Maybe your name has never been mentioned in any prophecy, but your name has always been written in the heart of the divine, long before you ever realized how powerful you truly are. So hold onto this sacred code. Hold onto Sariu as a silent vow that you will no longer live just for yourself. You will live to become someone else's light. And now, with all three sacred words within you, Shine the faith that needs no proof, Kun the divine flow of fortune, and Sariu the dragon soul that guards your crown. Your soul has reached the threshold of a new beginning, but to step through it, to truly live in that light, you'll need one last thing, something no book can teach. Only the heart can recognize, and we'll talk about that in the next part, where this journey stops being theory and becomes your reality. There are things we don't need to say out loud, because the soul will always know. Do you feel it, Aries? From the moment you stepped onto this path, something inside you shifted, not because you gained anything, but because you remembered who you truly are. Sometimes the most sacred moment is not when you're rewarded, but when you're entrusted, when the universe or God looks into your heart and believes this one can carry the light. Aries, you weren't sent here to take the throne, you came to rebuild it, for the weary, for the ones who lost their faith, and for every past version of yourself, who once fell and quietly got back up. You weren't chosen to be more noble than others. You were chosen to serve with humility from a deeper place within your soul, because the real treasure isn't gold, it isn't fame, it's the spiritual responsibility of being a keeper of fire in a world that's lost its way. The fire of Aries. People know it as the fire of battle, but few realize it's also the fire that warms, that guides, that inspires. You may have never stood on a stage, but you've been the reason someone didn't give up. You may have never been celebrated, but you were the last one standing, the one who stayed to lift someone up when the whole world turned away. That is true power. The sacred treasure promised by the masters isn't just in what you hold, it's in what you still choose to give, even when you have almost nothing left. If you've ever thought, if only I had more to help others, then maybe you're already richer than most, because your heart hasn't been hardened by pain. It hasn't been stolen by life. You still have your faith. You still have your kindness, even after everything, and that is why the light chose you. Aries, if what you're hearing today doesn't feel like just words, but like a memory your soul has been waiting for, I hope you hold on to it. Don't let doubt or exhaustion dim this truth again. The world doesn't need more stars that shine loudly. It needs those who glow quietly, those who carry the light, not to be seen, but to guide the lost. Remember this, you are not alone, you've never been alone, and you will never have to walk this entire road by yourself, because wherever there is light, there are souls watching over you, silently, gratefully, and healing, just by witnessing your existence. If this feels like more than a message, if it feels like an old promise being whispered back to you, leave a comment. You don't need to say much. Just speak from the heart, because who knows, your light might reach someone who's hanging on by a thread. Thank you, Aries, for walking the hardest parts of your path with courage. Thank you for not giving up, and thank you for still believing, even when the world tried to make you forget. May the fire within you always be a light, not something that burns you. And may you, Aries, receive the sacred treasure the universe promised you long ago, not just to keep, but to pass on to the next generation of light.